Welcome to another installment of the Audi Innovation Series, our homegrown Canadian speaker series that highlights Audi's commitment to design, creativity, and innovation. Featuring world-class visionaries and trendsetters, we are proud to showcase individuals who embody creativity and are motivated by positive change. Audi continues to be dedicated to driving meaningful conversations about creativity and innovation coast to coast amongst all Canadians. Today, we are privileged to welcome award-winning actress, fashion model, and filmmaker Isabella Rossellini. In addition to being a successful television and film actress, Ms. Rossellini has produced and directed a series of award-winning short films, wrote numerous books, received her master's degree in animal behavior and conservation, and founded an organic farm in New York. She has been recognized for numerous awards, including the Independent Spirit Award for Best Female Lead, the Women in Film Courage Award, as well as nominations for Emmy and Golden Globe Awards. Isabella Rossellini is one of the world's most innovative and influential storytellers, and we are absolutely proud to have her with us. Today's discussion will be moderated by award-winning journalist and host from the CBC, Dwight Drummond, once again bringing his passion and expertise to the Audi Innovation Series. We are honored to have Dwight back again as moderator. Now, please join me in welcoming Isabella Rossellini to the Audi Innovation Series.
Isabella Rossellini, welcome to the Audi Innovation Series. Such a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
In Conclave,
Yes.
which is premiering at the Toronto International Film Festival. You play Sister Agnes, a character that must remain invisible in the service of men in the film, and yet is also a powerful person. What was it like playing a character that has to, live in the background, but still have this commanding presence? There's such duality in that role.
And that is so exactly what it is, and I love that because I think a lot of women have experienced it to certain doses. And of course, the Catholic Church makes a very big difference between man and female. Men are priests, they can mass, they can do the rite, they elect the Pope, the Cardinal. The Conclave is the election of the new Pope.
Yes.
The film starts with the death of the Pope and the election of the new Pope, which are elected by the 120 cardinals at the top of the class. And the women, the nuns, are around them to serve them, and they have to be invisible. But of course, as one of my brilliant lines in the film says, my role is to be invisible. Nevertheless, God is giving me eyes and ears. So Sister Agnes is always listening, and she's very aware, and she has great authority. So much authority that she might even slightly intimidate Ray Fiennes,
The man,
who plays the other cardinal. He's respectful of her because he sees that she has a lot of authority. So it was, I didn't have to say anything. I just had to. It's like a silent movie star.
I
Yes.
love it. What was it like growing up in film royalty as the daughter of Academy Award-winning actress Ingrid Bergman and Italian filmmaker Roberto Rossellini? I mean, did your parents influence your career?
I'm sure they did. They influenced my life,
Yes,
not my
of course.
career, but they influenced my life. I am very much in love with my parents. Unfortunately, I lost them before I turned 30. So before I even became an actress, I became an actress late in my life. I was mostly
You're
a
a
model.
model before, yes.
I was a model before. I don't really know the answer, especially because we live in Europe, and maybe in Europe there is less the star system where
Yes.
people are like, they're still in Europe. They still think about Queen Elizabeth being but not
But your mom
actors
was
and
the
actresses.
ultimate star. Ingrid Bergman
Yeah.
is the ultimate.
No, she's an ultimate star. I'm not want to take anything away from it, but I think the reaction of the public is
Okay.
lesser than it is in America to actors. And also they were very practical people. They were great artists, and I think they taught me, if anything, to follow what is interesting instead of following what we think might be successful.
So did they miss your film career? And they were incredible filmmakers.
They miss my
themselves.
children. I mean, to me,
Oh,
more than my,
yeah.
yes, I miss the fact that my children have not
Hasn't
met
known
their
them.
glorious
Yes.
grandparents and everybody talks about.
The Audi Innovation Series centers around design, creativity, and innovation and risk-taking, and you're a risk-taker. How do you define those elements in your life? I mean, how does it manifest in your
Yeah.
work?
Well, I think if I'm grateful to myself is that I was able to evolve and live different chapters of my life as door closed. For example, when I was a model in my 40s, they did not renew my contracts. my
Lancome
advertisement
famously,
contract, famously, because I was told that women dream to be young, and so a 40-year-old woman cannot represent that dream. And 20 years later, they called me back, and so I
Full
was said,
circle.
"What happened to the dream? I'm 20 years older." But they said the dream, it's not that they changed, it became more elaborate. Of course, some women dream to be young, or we all dream to be young, not only women, men. But there are also other dreams, and before I think they weren't manifested as strongly as it is today. So Lancome called me back to represent really women my age that still want to be elegant and sophisticated or playful or
And you're
creative.
still a cover girl after all these.
But meanwhile, in this 20 years that Lancome wasn't working with me, I went back to university and took a master's
We're going to
degree
talk
in
about
ethology.
ethology. Oh, yes.
Exactly. So I
You,
didn't waste any time being depressed.
not at all. You said you believe creativity is ageless, and that's kind of what you're alluding to. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think everybody has it. To us, even if you are a housewife, or if I were just a housewife, I will decorate my dinner table. I would prepare Christmas dinners. That also requires
So
creativity.
whatever you do, so you're doing through your multiple roles in the films, going back to school, starting your own fragrance line, all these, it feels like you're breaking the norms by doing these platforms and doing these different
But I
things.
don't do it to break the norms.
Okay.
I do it because I follow my curiosity. Because, if you follow your curiosity, there are many things in life that are interesting, and sometimes door closed. And if you are just depressed about that, but then you look there and you say, oh, that's interesting, just go there. So I haven't done it to innovate or to prove myself, or I just wanted not to get depressed.
Now, despite your enormous global success, you went back to school and did a master's degree in
Yeah.
ethology. I find that so fascinating. What gave you the motivation and the inspiration to
Well,
do
it was that
this?
the doors were closed. As I loved
And that's the
modeling.
door you chose to open.
Well, because I always loved animals. It was an interest that I had since I was a little girl. My father gave me a book called King Solomon's Ring, written by Conrad Lawrence. It was the founder of this science. He won a Nobel Prize. And it literally was as if a little lamp bulb went up on my head, and I said, I want to be an ethologist.
Wow.
But the ethology was not taught. It was just a new science. And I wasn't very good at school. So it took me the courage. When I went back to school, as a 50-year-old, even late 50, I was the oldest one. The teacher didn't intimidate me anymore. I was the boss. No, I wasn't the boss. They were the boss, but I was so shy. I was so intimidated. And when you went back, and it was just for
Different.
curiosity, and everybody was young. If anything, I was a little intimidated by the younger kids who looked at me and said, what's this grandmother doing here? But I said, I always loved animal. I like to learn with you what is about them.
And then you took that learning and from the animal world, and it inspired you so much that we got Green Porno, which you're trying to teach us. Mamas Seduce Me, which I got to see a little bit of. Can we expect to see more of that coming up?
Yeah, I would like to I always wanted to be a director, but people of my generation, a director was a job that was conceived for men.
Like your father was a famous
my
director,
father,
yeah.
Yes, and my mom was a very famous actress. One day, by the end of her life, she said, I can be a director. But if it was like something like saying I would be an astronaut, something like absurd. Nowadays, of course, actresses it's normal. Actresses get script, develop them, they produce, they direct. But at the time, it wasn't something that seemed real, seemed possible.
Let's talk about this farming. Because you're on a farm. It's an initiative you found in 2013, Mama Farm.
Yeah.
They said it blends a love from nature and sustainability. Well, what does living on a farm teach you?
So partially it was to have animals. So now I have
Yes.
goats, sheep, chickens, ducks,
Wow.
bees.
Honey? You're making honey?
Yes, I do. Everybody's afraid. So bees, like the other animal, people can handle
No
them.
problem.
Bees are on my own responsibility because everybody's afraid of them. Little but nasty.
Yes.
And in Italy we have a big tradition of food, culinary.
of course.
So agriculture is very present in our life.
Ground to table.
Exactly. Ground to table, farmers market is how I grew up. And so when there was a piece of land that became available, I thought, because at the time I had not resumed working as a model nor as an actress, I thought, well, maybe I'll farm. That is all what I wanted to do as a little girl. Why don't I do it now? But now everything is back, so now I'm acting, I'm modeling.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, not a lot of model and actresses choose farming as their side gig, but it is working for you, and you're using it to teach people.
I mean,
sustainability and other
yeah,
things.
I don't feel like I proselytize. I don't feel like I want to. I do it, and people come.
Yes.
We call it mama farm. There's so many mothers that come with their children to say, "This is a chick. This is an egg. Basically, actually, would be a big chick.
This is where it
Then
comes from. Yeah.
a chicken. That's where it comes from. This is the carrot is in this season. We call it mama farm because we became a service to the community. But I haven't done it for that. It became that.
You have become an inspiration for many women, though, breaking societal norms, which you do as part of who you are, celebrating every type of beauty. So, I mean, what has inspired, you think, your career and life's journey? What's been the biggest inspiration, you think?
Probably my mom, because my mom was very down to earth. And till today, when they say, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" And I say, "Well, my mom wouldn't do it. I've never seen my mom doing it." Like big entourage. I don't have a big entourage.
No, not at all.
I was thinking, "Oh, my mom didn't have it. I can't have it."
If there's one piece of advice you could offer then to your younger self, what would that be?
To be more courageous. I did everything I wanted to do, but to do it earlier. I could have directed earlier. I didn't have to wait until I was in my late 50s. Maybe I had to study. It was necessary because ethology was not offered as a study at a university, and I was intimidated by teachers. So then when you grow up and you have a 35-year-old teacher in front of you, it's easier if you are 60. There's an advantage of being older. A lot of shyness goes away.
Are you enjoying being a nonna?
Oh, yes, I am a nonna of three boys. So the noise level at home is incredible.
Wow. And I saw you have a son that's also modeling too. That's
Yes, I have both my children model. It's funny, both my children didn't do any filming. They didn't want to work in film or be actors, but both of them model. And my son in particular, he loves fashion. He has a great way of...
He's a good-looking kid.
Very, very good-looking kid. Very, yes, arresting. When he enters into a room, people...
You can tell, yeah. You said recently about your parents that it feels like we've lost some, because people know you for your own career and for your own life, but back in the day, you were known as
Ingrid Bergman's
daughter, and Rossellini's daughter, and that has changed. So, do you think we've lost some? That there's now a generational divide that they don't know your parents?
I didn't take offense when people said, when I was young, you were Ingrid Bergman's daughter. It wasn't offensive, but I wish sometimes that they would say,
I'm my own person.
I'm my own person, I have my own career, especially in our country where meritocracy is so strong.
Very
I felt that
important.
maybe people feel I'm taking advantage because I'm staying in the same field as my parents and all that. And nowadays, when people know who my parents are, I feel infinitely grateful. Like you've said, you're Ingrid Bergman's daughter and Roberto Rossellini. And I feel infinitely grateful because it doesn't happen a lot or as frequently as before. And unfortunately, time goes on, and we do think that our legacy or our reputation as artists remains. But if you name very few names in silent films, they remain. Of course, Charlie Chaplin,
Yes.
but others we have forgotten, and they were superstars.
And you bring up Charlie Chaplin, like your mom was ostracized just like Charlie Chaplin was in Hollywood. There's a whole story here that we could learn from as a society that we wouldn't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
That when she...
To my mom?
Yes, to your...
No, my mom.
When she said back to... Because she left America.
No, but she was thrown out.
That's what I mean, yeah. Just like Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin.
That happened to him too.
Same thing happened to Chaplin. So my mom fell in love with my dad. Italy was right after the war. It was like Syria today or... Gaza.
After Mussolini and everything.
Yes, we were the enemy. It was heavily bombarded. It was very, very poor. And my father made beautiful films that really redeemed Italians that were the enemy because he really showed the human beings. And people felt moved. It was not the fascists and Nazis. They were human beings and how much they suffered. And my mom loved this film and wanted to work with him. And my father was astounded. It's like,
he's a Hollywood star.
So they fell in love. And before my mom could obtain the divorce from the previous husband with whom she had a daughter, my sister, she became pregnant. And that was such a scandal in America.
All over the newspaper was such big news in the world. Right?
In the world.
Yeah.
The Senate took a stand against my mom and threw her out of America.
Incredible story, yeah.
So, I was... very difficult for mom, not only because she could only work in Europe with my dad, that was good, but she couldn't see her daughter. Yeah, and for many years she was forbidden to see her daughter pee, and that was very painful for her.
Like you, she made a comeback, and she brought it back around. Let's
But
talk
she
about.
came back. She
Yeah,
did a
she
film,
did.
Anastasia, and
And she was a big
her
star. She
second
won them over
Oscar.
again, and that's what I want to talk to you about because you've done that yourself. You talked about Lancôme, but you bring it all back. Let's finish with ageism and how you have just battled against this and had this long, successful career with different parts of it at every age and facet in your life.
Well, some people defeat ageism by doing plastic surgery and being in a diet and looking
No, that's not what
cool
we're talking about.
And I couldn't do that, but I don't condemn it. These people do whatever they want. I had a very bad back, and I had several back operations. So the idea to do another operation
started a knife.
to
You're
look
like,
young,
no,
I said
thank
no.
you.
And then also I always feel you might win a battle, but you will lose the war. Because anyway, we are heading there. And I have an organic farm, and I cannot reconcile philosophically, how do you have an organic farm and eat organic food, but then do buttocks that paralyze my muscle? I don't reconcile them. So I said, let's see what happens if you grow old. And so far, so good. They hired me back. I'm back working. So it's not so bad to grow old. And also there is something about growing old that is never talked about because women are so judged by their appearance. That is always talk about wrinkles and this and that. But it's that freedom. It's that freedom to say, I haven't lived this in my life. I want to know that, as I did with ethology. I was always curious about animals. I always had animals. And you have the courage to say, well, let me go back and study it. Let me make films about them.
50.
Yes, you become more experimental. You become freer when you're older. And nobody talks about that.
It was such a pleasure talking to you.
It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank
you
you
so much.